I remember that night like it was yesterday. The air was thick with an eerie silence as I stood outside the abandoned hospital, my heart pounding in my chest. I had heard the stories, the whispered tales of unexplained sounds, flickering lights, and the chilling feeling that someone was watching you. I took a deep breath and pushed open the creaky door. The interior was suffocating, as if the darkness itself was alive. As I walked down the dimly lit corridor, I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone. My flashlight's beam danced along the peeling wallpaper, casting strange shadows that seemed to move on their own. I turned a corner and froze. A figure stood at the end of the hallway, partially obscured by the darkness. My heart raced as I called out, "Hello." No response. The figure just stood there, motionless. My flashlight flickered, and when the light returned, the figure was gone. Shivers ran down my spine as I continued exploring the hospital. Each room held its own sense of dread, as if the past tragedies that had occurred here were imprinted on the walls. I entered the old operating room, and the rusty surgical tools seemed to glint menacingly in the faint light. A sudden gust of wind extinguished my flashlight. Panic set in as I fumbled to relight it. When the beam pierced the darkness once again, I saw a flicker of movement in the corner of the room. I turned to see a child standing there, a child with hollow eyes and a haunting smile. I couldn't move, couldn't scream, as the child slowly reached out a hand toward me. I bolted from the room, my heart pounding in my ears. I had to get out of that hospital. But as I sprinted down the corridor, the walls seemed to close in around me. Whispers filled the air, indistinct but somehow menacing. I stumbled and fell, the sound of my own breathing drowning out everything else. When I finally reached the exit, I burst through the doors and into the night. Gasping for breath, I looked back at the hospital. Its windows were dark, but I knew I had witnessed something otherworldly within its walls. To this day, I can't shake the feeling that the hospital's tormented past still lingers, that the spirits of those who suffered there are trapped within its decaying walls. The haunted hospital remains a place I'll never forget, a place that still haunts my dreams. I remember visiting the old Sanatorium Hill Hospital years ago. The moment I stepped through those decaying doors, a chilling wind seemed to blow through the corridors. The air was heavy with the scent of antiseptic, mixed with something more sinister. The flickering lights cast eerie shadows on the peeling walls, as if the building itself was whispering secrets from its past. As I walked down the dimly lit hallways, I could swear I heard distant moans and faint footsteps echoing in the distance. The walls seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched by unseen eyes. My heart raced as I reached the staircase leading to the basement, where the morgue was rumored to be. With each step I took, the temperature dropped, and my breath formed misty clouds in front of me. The basement door creaked open on its own, revealing a cold, damp chamber. The air was heavy with a musty smell, and I could almost hear the whispers of the deceased lingering in the corners. As I shined my flashlight around the room, I caught a glimpse of something moving in the shadows. My heart pounded as I approached the source of the movement, only to find an old gurney swaying gently, as if pushed by an invisible hand. The hair on the back of my neck stood on end, and I could feel the weight of the hospital's dark history bearing down on me. I continued exploring the hospital, feeling as if I was being guided by an unseen force. In one of the patient rooms, I stumbled upon a dusty, half-opened medical record. The words on the page spoke of experimental treatments and tragic outcomes. Suddenly, a bone-chilling wind swept through the room, extinguishing my flashlight and plunging me into darkness. Panicked, I fumbled for my phone and turned on its light, revealing a shadowy figure standing at the foot of the bed. Its eyes glowed with a malevolent light, and I could feel its malevolence piercing through me. I stumbled backward, rushing out of the room and back into the corridor. As I fled, I could hear the anguished cries of patients, the sound of footsteps growing louder and more chaotic. It was as if the hospital was reliving its darkest days, a torment that had been trapped within its walls for decades. I finally burst through the front doors, gasping for air as I stumbled into the moonlit night, leaving the haunted hospital behind. To this day, I can still hear the faint echoes of that night, the whispers of the tormented souls that linger within the abandoned Sanatorium Hill Hospital. My name is Sarah, and I'm about to share an unbelievable story with you. What you are about to read is a chilling account of my time at St. Margaret's Hospital, an abandoned building that holds the key to a world beyond our own. It all began on a cold winter's night. Seeking adventure, my friends and I decided to explore the infamous street. Margaret's Hospital. Legends whispered that the building itself was cursed, strewn with unexplained deaths, and plagued by restless souls. Undeterred by the forewarning, we pushed open the creaking doors, revealing the eerie interior. As we navigated the hallways, the oppressive air clung to our skin, adding an extra layer of unease to our already racing hearts. The faded walls bore remnants of a once bustling medical facility. But as we slowly ventured deeper into the hospital's corridors, it became apparent that something sinister lurked within. We could hear distant cries for help and disembodied whispers, slicing through the midnight stillness. As our exploration progressed, we stumbled upon the palliative care wing, a place that reeked of despair and suffering. Faded photographs still clung to the walls, showcasing moments of joy and hope in stark contrast to the gloom that now engulfed the rooms. But it was the abandoned operating theater that sent shivers down our spines. The rusted surgical instruments laid upon the table, as if waiting for their next victim. It was said that a notorious doctor, Christopher Jenkins, had performed gruesome experiments on unwilling patients, leaving their tormented spirits trapped within the hospital's walls. Deeper into the darkened labyrinth, we discovered a hidden basement, a place steeped in tragedy. As we descended into the depths, our flashlights began to flicker, casting an uncertain light on the horrors hidden within. Amongst the forgotten rooms, we found a secret chamber, the infamous Room 307. Room 307 was rumored to harbor a malevolent presence. The air grew heavy as we entered, our lungs struggling to grasp the inhospitable atmosphere. Whispers echoed from within, unintelligible yet filled with unmistakable desperation. Shadows danced on the peeling wallpaper, revealing a haunting mural of anguish and despair. Paralyzed by fear, we caught sight of a ghostly figure, Christopher Jenkins himself. His malicious gaze pierced our souls, eliciting a chorus of screams as we fled from the room. But the doctor's grip on us tightened, his spectral presence following us through the corridors of St. Margaret's Hospital. Days turned into nights, and nights turned into nightmares. Sleep became elusive as Dr. Jenkins relentlessly haunted our every thought. His ethereal form tortured our waking hours, an inescapable torment that drove us to the brink of madness. In our desperation, we sought the assistance of a renowned paranormal investigator who revealed that St. Margaret's Hospital was built upon an ancient burial ground. The restless spirits were trapped, seeking retribution for the desecration of their resting place. Together, we attempted to appease the vengeful souls. Rituals were conducted, prayers were chanted, and sacrifices were offered to grant the spirits peace. Slowly, the atmosphere lifted, and the voices of the departed grew quieter. Though we emerged from our ordeal scarred, sanity was restored within us. St. Margaret's Hospital remained a fearsome place, but we had succeeded in granting solace to the forgotten souls destined to haunt its corridors. Should you ever find yourself drawn to the mysterious allure of St. Margaret's Hospital, let this story be a warning. Ghost stories are not simply figments of our imagination, they are the cries of those lost souls forever bound to the realms we dare not tread. Late one night, I found myself alone in the abandoned Willowbrook Hospital. The air was thick with an eerie silence, broken only by the faint sound of dripping water. I had heard rumors about the hospital being haunted, but I never believed in such things. Until that night, as I wandered through the dimly lit hallways, shadows danced on the walls, making the surroundings feel alive with unseen forces. A cold breeze brushed against my skin, even though there were no open windows. Goosebumps prickled on my arms as I ventured deeper into the building. A distant echo of footsteps caught my attention, and I froze in place. The steps grew louder, as if someone, or something, was approaching. Panic gripped me, and I tried to convince myself it was just my imagination. But then, a flickering light illuminated the corridor ahead, revealing a figure in a tattered hospital gown. My heart pounded in my chest as I stared at the apparition. Its eyes were hollow voids, devoid of any life, yet they seemed to pierce right through me. The figure's mouth opened, emitting a chilling whisper that echoed in the air, "Help me." I wanted to run, but my legs felt like they were made of lead. The figure glided towards me, its spectral form defying the laws of nature. I finally managed to turn and flee, my breath ragged and my mind racing with fear. I stumbled into a room and slammed the door shut behind me, hoping to find safety. But the room was far from a sanctuary. Shadows swirled around me, and the temperature dropped dramatically. The walls seemed to close in as I heard the faint sound of whispers all around me. I could almost make out words, cries for help, agonizing pleas, and desperate prayers. In that moment, I realized I was trapped in a place where the boundary between the living and the dead was blurred. The hospital held on to its dark history, and the spirits of those who suffered within its walls sought release from their torment. I gathered my courage and mustered the strength to leave the room, determined to escape the clutches of the haunted hospital. As I rushed back through the corridors, the air grew heavy with a sense of dread. The apparition appeared again, blocking my path. Its voice was now a haunting chant, a symphony of pain and sorrow that echoed through my very soul. With a final burst of energy, I pushed past the figure and burst out of the hospital's entrance. The fresh air hit me like a wave of relief, and I collapsed on the ground, gasping for breath. The hospital stood looming in the darkness, a silent witness to the terrors I had experienced. To this day, I can still hear the whispers in the back of my mind, a reminder that some places hold secrets that can never truly be buried. Willowbrook Hospital's haunted history will forever be etched in my memory, a chilling tale that I can never fully escape.
If you enjoy listening to scary horror content just like this, then hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you are updated on when I post a new video.